Okay, today we're going to look at the idea of a variable. Variables, you've probably heard of them before, most likely in math, where you use the variable x or y or z or a or b or c or any other letter for that matter. And usually the variables, they take on numbers. For example, x can be 1 or x can be 2.5. Y can be the square root of 2. Y can be 3.14 repeating, which is just the value of pi. A can equal to actually a combination of other variables. We know a squared is equal to b squared, or maybe the other way around, is equal to c squared minus b squared, just a rearrangement of the Pythagorean theorem. Anyway, I guess the point is that in math, the variables usually, or always, they represent numbers, specifically real numbers, okay? Decimals, irrational numbers, and so on. In coding, variables can take on different forms, and you kind of want to think of variables as, there's certain types of variables, okay? And I'm going to use this example here of the bins as being the various types. So for example, this red bin, which contains, you can only put aerosol cans or sprays of the sort. We'll call it bin 1. We'll call it variable or var1 type. The green bin, which contains organics, var2 type. Okay, and the yellow bin, which contains recyclable material, will be var3 type. And finally, the blue bin, which contains litter, will be var4 type. Okay, usually the blue bin is the recycling bin, but in this case it's a bit different. And off to the left here, I have a whole bunch of items. I mean, you can consider them pieces of garbage, but the idea is that they can only go into the bin that they belong, and each bin can only hold one at a time. So I can take this and put it into the red bin, okay? So this variable 1 would only hold that at the moment. If I wanted to put something else in there, I would actually have to take this out and say put this into here. What I can't do is I can't take like a yellow piece and put it into the red bin. Okay, this is a no. I'd have to put this over here. Okay. Obviously, same with the blue. I can put a blue piece over here. I can put a green piece over here. And I can put a red piece, let's use this, over here. Okay, so you can think of the variable. If you want to give them a name, we'll call this x, we'll call this one y, z, and I don't know, put a w there. Okay, the variable can only contain one item at a time. Okay, so in this case, I would have w equals the blue dot, z equals the yellow dot, y equals the green cloud, and x equals the red squiggle. I can't have something like this. Okay, I can't have it equal two things at the same time. It can only be one. So I'm going to take this out if I wanted to change it, and we'd have now the square. Okay, so we have a few things going on here. I'm going to talk about this when we look at the code, but when you create the variable, we call this a variable declaration. And in math, that's kind of like, let x represent ... something. And by the way, I can declare a variable and kind of not have anything in it. For example, over here with z, I could have just done that. Okay, I still have the variable, but has no content Okay. So when you actually declare a variable and assign it some kind of content, you call this variable initialization. Initialization. Okay? So you declare, and then you initialize. In other words, you give it some kind of value.